You are driving home and you have no memory of the road. The hands on the wheel are yours. The eyes that look at the endless line of lights are yours, but your attention is not here. It is chasing some argument from 3 hours ago, replaying a fantasy, drifting through a fog of unfinished desires. You change lanes, you brake, you accelerate, you signal. The body performs. The machine does what it has been trained to do, but you are almost absent. If I ask you where were you for the last 15 minutes, you will have no precise answer. You will say, just driving. That means asleep with eyes open. Or you sit in bed at night, a cold blue light on your face, your thumb moving against a glass screen. One video, then another. One post, then another. A face, a sentence, a half-thought, a sensation of anxiety you do not name, a heaviness in the chest you do not feel until it becomes unbearable. Hours pass, the body is exhausted, the eyes sting, but you remain there nailed by invisible hooks of habit. When finally you put the device down, there is a faint taste of emptiness, but you are too tired to look at it. This is how you live, in a loop that repeats itself under slightly different costumes. This voice that speaks to you now is what you have spent your life avoiding. I am the one you have silenced inside yourself 1,000 times. I am what remains when entertainment, noise, and excuses are stripped away. Do not be flattered that I address you. You are not special, but you are not meaningless either. You live as if your life belongs to you, but most of the time you are rented out to forces you do not see. Look at an ordinary day. Not the fantasy of who you think you are, but what actually happens. You wake up, perhaps an alarm tears you out of sleep. Already a chain begins, memory appears, work, responsibilities, messages, emotion appears, mild dread, restless and resignation. The body moves out of bed because it has done so thousands of times. Your feet touch the floor. You do not notice the sensation. You reach for your phone. You do not notice the impulse. Something inside is already moving before you are there. You scroll. You check messages. You read fragments. React internally, forget them, move on. Your thoughts jump from one association to another. You imagine conversations that will never happen. You rehearse arguments you will never make. You are in a film projected inside the skull. Meanwhile, the body brushes teeth, showers, dresses. Tell me, during all of this, how many times did you actually remember yourself? Do not answer too quickly. Observe. Most of your remembering is remembering your story, your worries, your image. That is not remembering yourself. That is remembering your trance. You rush through the day, work, tasks, traffic, screens. Someone says something that touches your vanity. Immediately a whole apparatus wakes up in you. Defensiveness, justification, blame. Another person praises you. Another apparatus wakes up. Preening, self-satisfaction, subtle contempt. Anything can pull you. Anything can steer you. You call this my life, my choices, my personality. I call it mechanical. You believe you are awake because your eyes are open and your intellect functions. But most of what you call thinking is only the noise of machines running by themselves. You protest, no, I am conscious, I decide. Then explain to me why your own word is nothing inside you. You decide tonight, with great sincerity, to wake up early tomorrow, to exercise, to eat differently, to not respond in anger, to stop wasting time. This decision feels noble. A certain you speaks with conviction. From tomorrow I will change. Tomorrow arrives. A different you wakes up. This one loves comfort. It says, just 10 more minutes. Another says, today is not a good day to start. Better to begin when I feel right. Another says, it's useless anyway. I always fail. The decision of last night dissolves like mist. Which one is the real you? You assume there is a single, permanent, unified self inside. You talk as if one solid entity moves through life, one will, one mind, one heart. But if you observe without lies, without the perfume of self-flattery, you will see that you are a crowd. One I wants spiritual growth. Another I wants entertainment. Another I wants revenge. Another wants approval. Another wants to disappear. They take turns coming to the front, each saying I, each claiming to be the owner, each making promises the others will not fulfill. This is why your life is full of broken resolutions. This is why you are pulled in opposite directions, why you cannot remain faithful even to your own deepest impulses. You are plural, fragmented, and you do not know it. Your very sense of I is an illusion produced by a conflict of many forces. You live defended by a mask that you mistake for your face. This mask is what you carefully present to the world, your moody stories, your preferences, your opinions, your injuries, your roles. It is built from your parents' word. Yes, your culture's expectations, your childhood fears, your imitations of others. It has learned what is acceptable, what earns love, what avoids punishment. It has learned how to appear strong, generous, independent, spiritual, whatever is necessary to protect itself. This mask is not evil. It is a necessary armor at a certain stage. But when you forget that it is a mask, it becomes a prison. When someone contradicts your ideas, you feel as if your very existence is threatened. That is not your true being defending itself. That is the mask panicking. When someone does not respond to your message quickly enough and you feel a wave of humiliation or rage, that is the mask screaming that its image might be injured. When you spend hours thinking about how you are seen, liked, disliked, admired, rejected, that is the mask obsessing over its reflection. Behind this construction, there is something quieter, something more real, but you seldom visit it because your entire attention is hypnotized by the surface. I will tell you something you will resist. The you that you now feel yourself to be is, in large part, false. It is acquired, conditioned, assembled. It protects you from shocks that could wake you, and it keeps you in a manageable sleep. You may think that to wake up means to acquire beautiful experiences, bliss, visions, powers. No. To begin to wake up means first to see the ugliness of your own mechanical life. It means to watch your automatic reactions as if you were seeing a stranger. It means to stand in front of the mirror without makeup of fantasy. Before you can become more real, you must see how unreal you are. Your inner machinery has several main engines. You live as if you were only a thinking creature, as if your whole being were confined to the head that speaks and argues and calculates. But you are constructed with different centers, different instruments for different functions. One center thinks. It handles concepts, theories, associations, memories. Another center feels. It generates emotions, sympathies, antipathies, moods, tastes. A third center moves. It governs posture, gesture, breath, habits, instinctive responses, survival mechanisms. In a balanced being, these three would work together, each in its proper domain, communicating, supporting one another. Intelligence, sensitivity, and physical presence could harmonize. In you, they hardly know each other. Your thinking races, overworking itself, doing tasks that do not belong to it. It tries to solve emotional pain by rehearsing arguments or building stories. It tries to manipulate the body by commands it cannot enforce. Meanwhile, your emotions run wild, reacting to shadows and memories, distorting perception, coloring everything in the tones of old wounds. Your body endures the chaos silently, tightening, clenching, losing rhythm, accumulating fatigue and tension until it collapses in illness or numbness. Sometimes your thought wants one thing, your feeling wants another, and your body does something else entirely. This is how you say yes while feeling no and walking straight into situations that poison you. This is how you stay in relationships that violate you, jobs that crush you, habits that degrade you because the centers do not speak a common language. I am not telling you this to condemn you. I am telling you because without understanding your structure, you will continue to suffer blindly and pointlessly. What then is possible? Not an imaginary transformation in some distant future, but a precise and practical work beginning now in the middle of the life you already live. You do not have to run away to a mountain or a monastery. You do not have to change your job, your city, your outer roles. Your life as it is contains all the material you need if you know how to use it. The first tool is simple to name and difficult to practice, self-observation. Not the kind of self-observation you already practice, which is merely judgment, complaint, or repetitive analysis. I am speaking about a new function, an inner witness that looks without praise or blame. Right now, as you listen, you can experiment. Feel your body. Notice the weight of it on the chair or bed. Notice the contact of your feet with the floor, the texture of fabric on your skin, the rhythm of your breath entering and leaving. At the same time, notice your thoughts. Perhaps they say, I know this already, or this is interesting, or this is nonsense. Notice your emotional tone, curiosity, resistance, boredom, hope. Do not try to change any of it, just see. If you can, for even 10 seconds, look at yourself with this calm, impartial attention. You have already taken a step out of your automatic identity. For 10 seconds, a different I has appeared, the one that observes the rest. This observing I is weak in you because you almost never feed it. You feed your opinions, you feed your fantasies, you feed your resentments, but you do not feed the capacity to watch without becoming entangled. So I give you an exercise. For the next 24 hours of your life, not some imaginary day, but the real next 24, you will attempt to remember this instruction as often as possible. To see yourself from outside. You will watch your body, how it moves, how it sits, how it speaks. You will watch your face when you speak to someone. You will notice the tone of your voice when you reply. You will observe your thoughts rising and falling, your emotions jumping and shifting. When you feel anger, instead of saying, I am angry, try to say inwardly, I notice anger is present. When anxiety appears, say, I notice anxiety. When pride appears, I notice pride. In this way, you begin to separate the observing presence from the passing states. You will fail constantly. You will forget for long stretches. You will remember only when something shocks you, a loud noise, a sudden embarrassment, a moment of beauty. Each time you remember, do not scold yourself, simply begin again. Each remembering is a small crack in the prison wall. There is a further step, more demanding, to remember yourself. Self-observation can still be passive, like watching a film. Self-remembering is an active gesture. It is the simultaneous awareness of, I am here and this is happening. For a brief moment, try this. Feel the sensation of your body from within, as if light is shining in your chest and limbs. At the same time, look around and take in the room, the objects, the sounds. Now, quietly, without words, sense yourself as the one who is both aware of the inner and the outer. This is not an idea, it is an experience of divided attention. Half of your attention on the world, half on yourself is present. In such moments, something different appears, a sense of existence, of being that is not dependent on thought or emotion. For a second, you are not simply a machine reacting to stimuli. You are there. This state is fragile. It cannot be held by force. It must be invited and cultivated again and again until it begins to appear by itself. Everything in your life can become an opportunity to practice this. Standing in line at a store, listening to someone speak, walking, eating, arguing, working on a screen. All of it can be used as a reminder to wake up for a moment, to say inwardly, I am here, and feel that you are. But do not be deceived. This work is not comfortable. It demands something that you have spent your life avoiding, intentional suffering. You already suffer, but mostly in a useless way. You suffer because your desires collide with reality. You suffer because your image is not admired as you wish. You suffer because your comfort is disturbed. This suffering is mechanical. It feeds bitterness, self-pity, blame. It goes in circles, producing no growth. Intentional suffering is different. It is the conscious acceptance of necessary friction for the sake of awakening. When you resist the impulse to distract yourself, you suffer. When you remain silent instead of defending your vanity, you suffer. When you endure an uncomfortable emotion without immediately acting to escape it, you suffer. When you wake up earlier than you want, when you hold your posture, when you want to collapse, when you observe an insult without immediately striking back, these are small forms of intentional suffering. It is not self-harm. It is the burning of mechanical patterns in the fire of attention. You are full of habits, of thought, of movement, of emotion. They run you. If you never go against them, you remain their slave. To become less mechanical, you must introduce shocks to your system, deliberate interruptions that break the automatic chains. One such interruption is the practice of sudden stopping. Try this. Choose a period of the day when you will, at random moments, command yourself inwardly. Stop. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, as long as it is not dangerous or harmful to others, you freeze. The body becomes still. The gaze stops where it is. You do not move. You do not adjust. You simply hold. In that instant of stop, you observe, what was I just thinking? What emotion was moving? What was my body doing? You catch the machine in the act. You see the trance that was unfolding just before the stop. At first, you will feel foolish, irritated, impatient. Good. This irritation is one of the prices of freedom. If you persist, you will discover that these small inner shocks can open a space for awareness in the midst of your otherwise unconscious movements. Do you see the pattern? Self-observation, self-remembering, intentional suffering, deliberate stops, all are ways of introducing a new factor into your life, conscious effort. Without conscious effort, you drift according to external influences and inner conditioning. With conscious effort, you begin to tip the scales. A new possibility appears, the building of a stable center of gravity inside, an I that is not just another passing impulse. Understand that your current state is not merely your personal misfortune. Your sleep is not isolated. It participates in a larger economy. Your mechanical reactions, your unexamined emotions, your blind suffering, these are not just yours. They are food. There are forces that feed on the energy generated by creatures who do not know themselves. You can call them systems, structures, currents of nature, whatever metaphor suits your mind, but they exist. Entire fields of influence thrive on fear, despair, vanity, conflict. Entire patterns of collective life depend on people never questioning the commands implanted in them. When you spend hours in envy, rage, useless worry, when you obey trends without understanding, when you allow your attention to be hijacked by empty stimulation, you are contributing, you are a small battery, discharging your energy into circuits that reinforce sleep on a grand scale. This is not a moral accusation, it is a description of function. If you continue to live like this, your life will be consumed. You will reach your final day with a vague sense that you were distracted from something essential, but you will not know what it was. Your potentials will have been used, but not by you. Yet there is another possibility. Conscious effort generates a different quality of energy, finer, more coherent. When you observe yourself instead of immediately reacting, when you remember yourself in the middle of life's storms, when you endure discomfort for the sake of truth, you produce something that does not simply vanish into the ordinary machinery. This finer substance nourishes the growth of a higher center in you, a more real level of being. At the same time, it contributes differently to the larger cosmos. A human who begins to wake up is not just a personal achievement. It is an event with implications beyond what you can now imagine. You live in a drama larger than your biography. You are a tiny but significant part of a process that has been unfolding long before your birth and will continue after your death. In this drama, there is a role reserved for conscious humans. Whether you take that role is not guaranteed. Beneath the mask, beneath the crowd of conflicting eyes, beneath the noisy intellect, the volatile emotions, the restless body, there is the seed of a stable, unified I. This is not given to you ready-made. It is a potential, a possibility that can be cultivated. If you do nothing, you will die as you are, a bundle of impressions, habits, and stories. Dissolved by time, your essence will not have crystallized into something enduring. But if little by little you accumulate moments of real presence, if you suffer intentionally rather than blindly, if you observe and remember yourself across many shocks and temptations, something invisible begins to form. A different taste of yourself appears. A sense of inner solidity, of quiet authority begins to flicker. This is not ego. It is precisely the opposite. It does not boast. It does not insist. It does not preen. It simply knows. It is the part that can say, I am with weight, not as a phrase, but as a fact. All the methods I give you are for one purpose, to help this higher center grow and become permanent. This is not magic, not wishful thinking. It is systematic work governed by laws as exact as physical laws. You are at a crossroads, whether you acknowledge it or not a dramatic outer crossroads, but an inner one that repeats every day. On one side is the path you already know. It is the path of least resistance. You follow your moods, your impulses, your fears, your pleasures. You avoid anything that threatens your self-image. You anesthetize your discomfort with distraction. You live for comfort and validation, and you call this happiness. Your life slowly hardens into patterns until you are incapable of real change. Then you die, and your story dissolves in the same forgetting that has followed you from moment to moment. On the other side is a narrow, steep path. It is not advertised. It offers no guarantee of comfort, no instant reward. It requires that you go against yourself in a certain way, not against your true being, but against your mechanical nature. It demands courage, sincerity, and persistence. On this path, you will begin by admitting something you do not want to admit. I am asleep. I do not know myself. I am not what I imagine. If you cannot say this sincerely, even for a moment, you cannot begin. If you can, then I will tell you how to take your first steps. For the next 7 days, treat your life as an experiment. First, several times a day, when you wake up, when you eat, when you enter a room, when you start your work, when you are about to sleep, stop internally and say to yourself quietly, I am asleep, but I wish to wake up. At the same time, feel your body from within. Feel the contact of your feet with the ground, the sensations in your hands, the movement of your breath. Look around and see where you are, the colors, the shapes, the sounds. Then, for as long as you can, perhaps only a few seconds, remember that you are here in this body, in this moment, witnessing. Second, whenever a strong emotion arises, anger, jealousy, shame, fear, refrain from acting on it immediately. Do not express it, do not suppress it into the darkness. Instead, hold it in the light of observation. Sense where it lives in your body, the tightening of the jaw, the burning in the chest, the clenching of the stomach. Observe the thoughts that cluster around it. Observe the impulse to speak, to strike, to run away. Remain still, even if lie internally for 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minutes. Suffer the discomfort consciously. If you fail and explode, if you speak with venom, if you collapse into self-pity, afterwards, when you are calmer, review what happened with the same impartial eye. This too is useful material. Third, choose one small habit that is of no real necessity, a trivial indulgence, a mannerism, a mechanical phrase you always repeat, and deliberately interrupt it. Not forever, but for a week. Each time the impulse arises to act it out, you will feel a subtle tension, a resistance, a sense of deprivation. Use that moment to remember yourself and to observe the machine that demands satisfaction. These are modest tasks. They will not make you enlightened, but they will begin to separate in you what is mechanical from what can be conscious. If you do this work sincerely, even for a short time, you will notice something. You will discover the scale of your own unconsciousness. You will see how difficult it is to remember yourself for even 10 seconds. You will see how quickly you identify with every thought, every mood. You will see how strong your habits are, how weak your will is. This discovery will be humiliating. Good. Humiliation is a medicine if you accept it consciously. It cracks the shell of vanity that keeps you from seeing truth. You may be tempted at this point to run away into comfortable theories, into consoling beliefs, into systems that promise everything and demand nothing. You may look for teachers who flatter you, who tell you that you are already awake, already pure, already divine, and that all you need is to relax into it. These are lullabies. Turn away from them if you value your life. Real teaching does not seduce you. It confronts you. It shows you your nothingness and your possible greatness in the same breath. It demands payment in the only currency that matters, your attention, your sincerity, your struggle. Do not misunderstand. I am not asking you to hate yourself. Self-hatred is yet another mechanical emotion, another form of self-obsession. What I am asking is that you see yourself as you are, without embellishment and without despair. From a certain perspective, you are pitiable, driven by forces you do not understand, constantly distracted, full of fear, vanity, contradiction. From another perspective, you are noble, capable of astonishing bravery, love, and clarity if you awaken the capacities latent in you. Both views are true. You are a crossroads between animal and something higher. You can go down into greater automatism and coarseness, or you can go up into greater consciousness and responsibility. No one can walk this path for you. No voice, not even mine, can do the inner work you must do. I can only point and sometimes strike. Remember, every day you are feeding something with your life. Either you are feeding the machinery of sleep inside you and around you, or you are feeding the slow birth of a real I and contributing to a higher order. You want a guarantee, there is none. You want certainty that your efforts will be rewarded, there is none. You want assurance that you will succeed, I can not give it. What I can tell you is this: if you refuse this work, if you continue as you are, your fate is already written in your habits. You will repeat yourself until you are exhausted. You will circle in patterns inherited from your parents, your culture, your past, believing you are choosing while you are only repeating. You will reach the end having lived a borrowed life. If you accept this work, your future becomes uncertain in a different way. You will encounter inner difficulties you cannot now imagine. You will be stripped of illusions that you now treasure. You will be asked to give up not your possessions, but your lies. In exchange, you may become more real. Now that you have heard this, your sleep will never again be as comfortable. Even if you try to forget, something in you will remember that another life is possible. In the middle of some automatic reaction, you will have a flash of awareness. I have been here before. I chose this again. That memory will sting. It is meant to. This is the true meaning of the manuscript that has been silenced in you. It is not a book of words. It is the unwritten possibility of your own transformation, buried under layers of distraction and imitation. I have begun to read it to you now, line by line, in the only language that matters, the language of direct confrontation. Whether these words become seeds or dust depends entirely on what you do after you stop listening. You can close this and sink back into the familiar hypnosis of your routines. You can let the impressions fade, as you have done with so many insights before, and console yourself with the thought that you will start later. Later is another name for never. Or you can take seriously for once the possibility that your life has a purpose beyond pleasure and escape. You can accept that this purpose will cost you your complacency, your fantasies, your self-image. You can decide in the quiet of your own heart to begin the labor of awakening. Do not announce it. Do not make speeches about it. Do not tell others, I have begun a spiritual path. That is vanity. Simply begin silently, practically, with the exercises I have given you and with the attitude I have demanded. Sincerity without self-pity, effort without hysteria, severity without cruelty. I will not flatter you by saying you are destined. You are not chosen in advance. You are offered a choice now. Remain what you are, a collection of impulses marching toward oblivion. Or begin to become what you could be, a conscious being, participating knowingly in the vast mystery that has, until now, used you without your awareness. I have said enough. The rest must be written by your own effort, in the substance of your days and nights. From this moment on, you can no longer say, I did not know,